Roxy down there. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Sammy. Yeah, that last meeting ran over, which is why I had to do some fandangling.
No worries.
I've just seen that somebody was panicking on WhatsApp as well because they were trying to get in. And it's nice. I like it when people are okay. Good. Except when I'm not ready. When I'm not ready.
Oh, maybe.
This may be me. Yeah. You have to come back there a bit.
There she is. Oh, I haven't seen her for ages.
You can't stand up on your back legs.
Oh, Lord. What have you done with the other one?
No, he's gone out with Dawn.
All right.
It's gone out. It's gone out for a bit. Right, who are we meant to have? Let's just have a look. Looking at my calendar. Just make sure we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Not got 4 yet, have we? Got 2. Rufus. That's too cute. Too cute. Yeah, belly.
My internet's unstable again.
Oh no. Bless you. Oh, sorry, darling. Twiggy says she wants a water filling up. All right, we can do that.
Morning. Where are we? Where is that? Who's that? You're on the telly. Please change my name. I can change my name.
Right then. Hello. Don't know where the others are. I was just looking to see whether or not there was any messages for me. But can't see them yet, so maybe they're going to arrive after. So, how are you getting on? Rufus looks like his fun puppy. You can have a word with us.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, he's He's doing really well. He's getting very big. Right, you Rufus. He's very playful. He's not demand barking as much. I've been ignoring him. He does sometimes. I think he gets overexcited and over playful with our other dog, and then he starts barking at her. But she's being really good, and she just ignores him. She just stands there and stares at him like, "What do you think you're doing?" But if he carries on, I sort of just put him in his pen for time out for a couple of minutes, and then once he's stopped, he comes back out. So he is learning. The only other thing at the minute is he jumps up at my 5-year-old son all the time, tries to, like, I don't know, not like hump him, but he's just jumping up at him. He thinks he can jump on top of him, and I've said to my son, you need to be the dominant one, you need to show him your boss. And Rufus, oh, he found the treats, your monkey. Yeah, I said to my son, you need to show him who's boss. So if he jumps up, my son turns around the opposite way and folds his arms like I'm not playing. But then he jumps up round the other side, or he'll jump up the back of his legs, and we're not sure how to stop that. And he can jump on the sofa now, which he's only learnt to do in the last few days.
Okay, all right. We'll have a look at that in a second. All right. Hi, darling. Tina, do you want to have a word with us?
Morning, everybody. Yeah, I think we're doing all right. She's developing a mischievous streak, I think. She's been in the doghouse this morning while I've been out. She's chewed husband's glasses, all things to chew. But she's just been a puppy. She's doing all right on walks. She seems to be doing okay. We're doing the stop, so a quick sort of round the block can take.
I can't hear anybody.
Long, but hopefully she'll get it. One thing that she really impressed me with this week, where we live, we haven't got a fence or anything. It's all open plan. So when I answered the door, she bolted out the front. So we're right by a road. And what I actually did, I called her. She just looked at me. But I held my hand out, so she came to touch. So then I had to leg it into the kitchen to get a treat, and really and I did it again. But for me, I was like, oh, because it was like panic. If I try and grab her and she runs, she could run onto the road. So I was really impressed with her doing that. So I was really happy with that. Sleep. She'd kind of redeemed herself a little bit, and then it all went a bit wrong beginning of last week. Sunday seemed to be the worst night. Now, I don't know, it's because I tend to wash her bedding on a Sunday, and whether that throws her a bit. She'd had a worming tablet on a Sunday, whether that was anything to do with it, I don't know. She seems to settle down by the end of the week. Yesterday, she didn't wake up till husband came downstairs. But then this morning was 4:30 again, so it's very hit and miss. We just don't know which Roxy we're going to get during the night, but she's still a pup, so that's it really.
So, yeah, puppies. The thing is, their brain is not set at all, emotionally or learning-wise. The pathways are still very much in development. So yeah, I mean, you can feel like you've got a Jekyll and Hyde. One minute you've got this really cute, sweet puppy, and you're hoping like mad that that's how they're going to stay, and this is the dog you want, and then yeah, they turn into this other person who seems to be completely. So the whole brain's developing, the whole everything. The emotion system is not functioning properly. They don't have emotional control. They don't have very good physical control. Just want to mute Roxy, but I can't because she's still connecting. Okay, so yeah, and it's not that surprising that they will suddenly do all of those things. And yes, we do have to look to potential external causes, and yes, having had dewormer or having new scent in the house in a place that you thought was your own, where you felt secure, that can affect it. But it can be anything, to be honest. It can be stuff that we don't even know. So what we need to do is we need to be as predictable as possible. We need to be as much the same as possible. If you imagine yourself as the parent whose everything you do demonstrates how to handle the world, how to cope with the world. And if you're demonstrating that in a calm way, then your dog can learn that calm is the correct response in all situations. Whereas if you sort of panic and get overexcited about new things or about new situations because the puppy is, and then you're reacting as well, they don't know you have an internal state. They don't know that you are a separate thing to them. So if you're also getting overexcited or shouty or worried about something, then your puppy's going to think that that thing that they're worrying about is something to worry about. You make it worse. So always a calm response, always a guiding hand, always a very much a parental attitude when you're dealing with anything, even if it's something that you don't like. Calm down, go still, go quiet, and then show them what does work. Yeah? Don't get into battles with your pup, because the more we react and the more we get angry or upset or frustrated or use physical methods to stop them from doing something, the more they're going to think that's how you handle it. So jumping up's a really good example of that. Jumping up, your puppy's just saying, what happens if? You know, that you've got a puppy who's excited, or sometimes it can be a sign that they're a little bit anxious, they don't know what else to do, so they start jumping up. It can be that they're, as I say, overexcited or over aroused by something, and they're jumping up because they want to be close to the face. You know, dogs communicate face to face. Dogs are usually like this, face to face. We keep our face up here. So if you're a puppy, it makes sense, doesn't it, to try and get closer by moving yourself upwards. And if you watch them with adult dogs, they'll do the same. When they're tiny puppies, they will try and look at the face and they'll put their paws up and they'll try and get to the face. So the first thing to say is it's better not to respond when they are paws on you, and to make sure that you're giving a lot of affection and you're coming down to their level when they're needing you to, for greeting, for I've missed you, not seen you for ages. Well, here I am right down on the floor with you so we can greet together. The other thing is there's no point telling them off or getting upset with them, because what if it is anxiety? What if your puppy is trying to say, help me, I'm not coping? Then pushing them away is gonna, that need is still there, so they might become more frantic about trying to jump up, trying to tell you. So don't push them away. The other thing is if it's over arousal and they're overexcited, touching them just makes them more excited. So touching, pushing doesn't work. Turning your back can work to a degree, but we're also moving. The movement can become arousing. So with a small child especially, what I like to teach them is to become very, very still. So become a statue. Dogs respond really well to stillness. You know, if your puppy's getting overexcited and bitey, go stiff and still. And most puppies are going to go, woo, weirdo. You know, it's a communication tool that they use with each other. When you see that two puppies are playing and one's not sure, the first thing they will do is freeze. They will go still. And the other puppy, more often than not, will go, whoa, what's wrong with you? And they will let go. You know, they'll give space. So that's something we need to use. The next thing is showing the dog what does work, you know? So if you, John, we've lost somebody again. If you've got a jumpy up puppy, then we need first of all to have a look at what's reinforcing that behaviour, what's making that behaviour more likely to happen. Well, it can be us. We can be doing it. You know, we might have somebody who is reaching down to the pup and touching them while their pup's legs are on their knees. So we might have somebody in the household or in their group of friends who's actually encouraging it. We might be encouraging it with the way that we deliver treats. We might be bringing the treats in from above, which is going to encourage them to lift up towards the food. So what we can do is ban anybody that won't listen to you and still slaps their knees. They're not allowed near your puppy. Or we can say to that person, I don't want you to touch the puppy to greet them. Can you give them a treat? But I want you to treat under. I want you to treat from underneath. Yeah. And if you have to, if you have somebody in your home that's doing that and encouraging them to jump up and holding food above their head and getting them all excited and jumpy uppy, then I want you to model it for them. Actually show them all the way underneath. So the puppy backs up slightly. Can you see? Because the food's going to go under. So they're learning to give space. They're learning that if I want that treat, jumping up's not going to be effective, but backing up away from the person, that's effective. Or, what's that behaviour? Do you know it's almost impossible to do that and jump up at the same time? Sitting. Teach them something else instead to do. One of my favourite games with a jumpy uppy puppy is to get them excited. Now, I haven't got Dodo with me today. Dodo's really good at getting this wrong, so he's really good at demonstrating it, but Twiggy not so good. Yeah? Get them really excited so they jump up on you. And then, when they jump up, go like this, stiff, still, turn your face away, not available. And when they put their feet down, treat on the floor. Or you come down and you give affection on the floor. Yeah? So we're going to say, that doesn't work, I don't like that. But that does. Over and over and over. The other thing you can do is you can teach them a cue called off. And what we're going to do, if you've got a puppy who's already got their paws on you, you say off and you put the food on the floor. Okay, so with sofa climbers, for example, say off and the food is on the floor. And if you need to begin with, you can say off and lure them off and put the food onto the floor. So we talked about using the lure, putting it on the nose, moving them. You can use the lure to move them after you've said you're off cue. All right, so that's all that bit. But this week, the lesson is actually, now remind me, did we start the recall training last week? Because I can't remember if it was you, group, that I started it with. Okay, so we're going to talk about, and this would have come in really, really handy with your door diving situation. Yeah, I'm really glad that your touch worked so well. I love the fact that your brain went there. I love the fact that instead of panicking, you had a brilliant way of solving that problem without there being a problem. So we've lost Sammy because their internet's gone down. She's just messaged me. But a recall would have worked really, really nicely. Now, we've been teaching them their name. So hopefully now when you say your puppy's name, your puppy looks at you and they start to orientate towards you. But when we're thinking about recall, name might not be enough. The situation that they're in that you want to call them away from might be too difficult. So what we want is we want to get a word which is going to be so exciting that the puppy can't ignore it, that it's impossible for them to ignore it. And what we're going to do is we're going to build almost like a reflex response to that word. So you know when you put your hand on a hot plate, you know, you've accidentally touched a hot pan or a hot cooker, a hot stove. Do you think about removing your hand? Do you look at your hand and you go, ooh, that's hot. I think I'll take it off because it's burning. Or do you just go, and before you've even realised that that was hot, your hand is already close to you and you're already inspecting it. And we want a cue that's going to make the dog feel like the same response, that it goes directly from the ears straight to the movement. No thinking, shall I go over there or shall I carry on sniffing this thing? All right? And the way we do that, the first thing we need to think about is what word are we going to use, or what sound are we going to use? So some people prefer to have a separate sound from their own voice, something like a whistle. My personal issue with that is that I would absolutely forget the whistle. I would forget to take it with me, you know, or I would, when I needed an emergency recall, I'd be fumbling in my shirt to find the whistle. I wouldn't have it already in my mouth. So I tend to use a vocal cue. And what you need to think about with your vocal cue is it something that will cut through environmental noises? So something that's going to work better is going to be something that's high pitch, something that is almost, you can say, with an excitable voice, because if you think about it, when you're going to use your emergency recall, you're not going to be saying it in a normal speaking voice. You're already in an emotional state yourself. You can see your puppy moving towards an emergency situation. You're not going to say, come here. No, you're going to be like, ah. Your voice is going to go high. So the common one that most people use is here, but we're going to change it even more so. We're going to make it exciting and sparkly. So the first thing I want you to do with this little bit of training is we are going to look as if we're going to run away. Now, I know you haven't got far to go in your home spaces, so it doesn't need to be far. It's literally just a little movement. And that will tend to make most puppies start to move towards you. So what I want it to be timing-wise is you move slightly, then you say your word, then you drop the piece of food. So it looks like this. It goes, okay, so we're saying the word after we've already started moving. And what that does, because movement tends to be more exciting to the dog and to the dog's body, and they're already moving when they hear that cue, we start to develop that sort of instant response that doesn't require thinking. Yeah? Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the order slightly. So we start on the first little game, we start movement, is followed by the sound, is followed by food. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say the cue and then move and then feed. Okay, so we've changed the order slightly. So for the second little game, we're going to go nice and still, not doing anything. We go here, and then we move, and then we feed. So slight difference. Here. And what's happening there with with that little game is now your puppy is really listening and really watching because they really want you to do it. And the sound, your little recall sound, happens before the excitement happens. So the brain starts to think, it just learns, keep a close eye out for that sound, because that sound is immediately followed by something brilliant happening. Okay, so the two games are separate and different because the first one is making them look for your body language and keep attention on you much more closely. And the second one is making them listen much more closely. Okay, what you should find when you're playing this game, or both of these games, is that your puppy starts to be much more attentive and watching you. But we're going to make them even more attentive with the next game. We're going to make them even more excited to keep a look on you, to keep a watch on you. Okay, so with this game, if you watch me, what we're doing with this one is we are not going to move our feet. Can you see my feet? There's a maybe in the way. Can you come over there? We're not going to move our feet. Put your feet comfortable distance apart, lock them to the floor, but we are going to move our body. We're going to dodge and weave. Dodge and weave, like this. Okay, can you see what my dogs are doing now? Which way? Which way? Right, and then when I'm ready, one of my hands is going to drop a piece of food. Okay, they don't know which hand it's going to be because I've got food available in both hands. I'm going to go that way. Weave. I'm going to go that way. Weave. Yeah, and we want the food to kind of skitter a little bit across the floor. Yeah, so that it moves a little bit. Now, if you've got a kind of puppy that is like, I don't know where the food went. Some puppies, and quite a lot of puppies actually at this age, are not very good at tracking movement. Yeah, so what I would do with a puppy who doesn't see it go down, immediately run to where that treat is and point it out and get excited. Make sure your puppy goes to it. And don't toss it too far when you do toss it. If they don't see it, go to it. And your pup says, I don't know what you're on about. Says, oh, it's there. Okay. So carry on. Don't feel that it's not working. Just pup says, it's all a bit weird. It's all a bit weird. Yeah. That's it, and take them to it. You look at it and you get excited by it and they get the treat and your puppy says, no, it's all a bit weird. That's it. Let's see if we can get that puppy happy again, because we're feeling a little bit weirded out. Why is the owner acting so strange? Yeah, you need a cuddle. Feeling a bit weirded out. Yeah. So Rufus needs a cuddle, needs a little bit of reassurance, because right now we're feeling a bit strange. Yeah. All right, so what we can do with Rufus is a slightly different game, just to help him to feel a bit more relaxed. What I want you to do with him is don't do the dodging and weaving. For some reason for him, it's just freaking him out, it's weirding me out. Okay, that's just the kind of person he is, that's all. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with the Lord to the nose, like this, and then kind of pop it down. So we're almost going with the nose, but not so slowly. And I want you to keep your hand near the treat after you put it down. So we're going to go, oh look, there's food, and then we're going to pop it down and point towards where it goes to, so that we're staying with it. Don't go too far with that food. So here's a piece of food, there it is. Yeah? Now watch my body when I start to move a little bit, then I'm going to put the food near your nose and I'm going to just roll it a little bit. Yeah? Okay. So for him, you being excited, for some reason, it's just right now, it's making him feel a bit freaky, that's all. So we always look at the body language. We're going to make sure that the dog's having a good time, and he's very tucked and worried at the minute. You can see his tail's all the way under, and he's hyper vigilant, and he's looking around, and he's kind of worrying about stuff. So go back to wherever he needs you to be, and however you need it to be for him to not be feeling freaky. What's he looking at over there? What's his?
He's looking in the garden, he's looking outside.
Okay. So again, puppies make these weird associations that he might have seen some kind of movement out of the corner of his eye just as you started to play those games. And maybe it's you're acting that way because of whatever it is he's seen that's new outside. Does that make sense? So he's trying to make associations. He's trying to say to himself, well, there's something there and it's a bit freaky. Then my owner started acting weird as well. Yeah, and they make wrong associations in the same way that young children do. All right, so if you start to see them close down or not get excited with the game, stop the game for a bit and just see what else is going on around you. Is there something else? So I had a really weird issue yesterday. I don't very often watch horror movies nowadays because I find them a bit tedious. But I decided to give one a go yesterday. And so we've got this dog, Dodo, watches telly all the time. Very, very rarely worries about anything on telly. You know, occasionally you'll see a dog and he'll have to go up to the telly to have a closer look, but it's not a big deal to him. So we're watching this horror movie, and then for no reason that I could see, nothing else had changed, he started growling properly, scary growl at the telly. Properly, something really freaky. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a coincidence, isn't it? It's a coincidence that we're watching a horror movie. Yeah? And that's my human interpretation of it. He's not going to know it's a horror movie. I'm not particularly freaked out, so it's not my behaviour because I'm not that scared of horror movies. But he's properly staring at the screen and properly giving it, that is really freaking freaky, that is. And my options are then to try and reassure him or to just ignore him and to act normal. So I carried on looking at the screen and looking at my dog and looking at the screen and looking at my dog and looking at the screen. And eventually he looked at me and he said, "What do you think?" And I went, "I don't know what you're worried about." And he went, "Definitely something really weird." And it started to freak me out. Started to make me feel, oh, maybe there is something about this horror movie. And then that affected my behaviour. So we've got to remember that we are an interchangeable unit. You know, our emotions can affect each other. He was affecting mine rather than my affecting him, I think. I've got to watch out for it now. You know, I don't know whether or not I might put that horror movie, it was on Netflix, I might put it on again and see. The only thing I can think is there was a very worried looking person sneaking through the house thinking that they might be about to get murdered or something. So they were walking very weirdly and very stiffly. So maybe that was it. But who knows? Could have been a next door neighbour making a noise that he's never heard before, for all I know, behind the telly. Anyway, so we want the pup thinking good stuff when I hear that sound, and that's why I wanted you to stop with Rufus. We don't want them thinking bad stuff. We want them, what I want you to see is, obviously I've not said it for a while now, but watch Twiggy's body language. If I go, where's maybe, straight up, Twiggy goes, you know, you maybe can't see it on the screen, but she did a little startle, a little jump, yeah? So Other games you can play that do the same is we're going to just stand, we're doing nothing, we're not looking at them, we're going to wait for them to look away a little bit, which they won't do, because what you get with these little games is tons of attention. And I'm literally just going to put it down. But the thing is here, we want them to associate that sound very directly with food, the presentation of food. Twiggy says maybe's faster than her. So maybe's getting most of the treats. Make sure she can't get it by throwing it instead. Yeah, you old girl, you're very fast. Okay, so what we would then do with the dodge and weave, if Rufus wasn't freaked out, what we would then do with your dodge and weave is dodge and weave, and instead of just tossing your food, do a little chase, and then drop. So we don't know which way we're going, which way we're going to go, which way, and we're going to run and then toss. And little Roxy can't contain herself when she hears it. She's like, oh my heavens, party. Okay, and then obviously now we can add in the verbal cue as well. So on this occasion, the verbal cue is when you are already moving. Okay, so we've got dodge and weave, move, and then the cue. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of one dog so we've got a bit more room. Twiggy go out. Twiggy go out. Go on. Okay, so with your food toss, what I want you to do this time, dodge and weave, and you're going to run and toss. And then while they're over there, run the other way and toss. Run the other way and toss. So this is without the verbal cue to begin with. This is just chase. So as they're over there getting that piece of food, you've already started moving in the other direction. And then all you're going to do is you're going to add your verbal cue. But the verbal cue is when they are already on their way back to you. Okay? So we toss them away, and as they turn around, here, and toss away. As they turn around, here, toss them away. Here. So they're already moving in your direction when you say it. So with Rufus, what you might have to do in a bit, when the class is finished, just take him out and just go with him and hold his hand out there, see what's freaking him out. Yeah? It might just be that he thinks that the high-pitched noise that I'm making, which is happening quite often, is associated with whatever's going on out there, you know. And they do get these silly little fears, silly little superstitions, yeah? We don't need to panic about it, but we do need to help them. So that's got them thoroughly excited now, isn't it? They don't want to leave your side. They don't want to wander away and do something else. They want to be involved with you. And quite often when we first start taking our puppies out, we want them to pay a lot of attention to the environment. It's important that they do. The more they can sniff and the more that they can look and the more that they can process everything that's going on around them, the more that's going to become normal. If we keep interrupting them and asking them to move on and move to the next thing, and we keep calling them away from everything, what we can quite quickly be is a distraction from the good stuff. We can become the boring part of the walk. Yeah, so they don't want to hang out with us. So with puppies, I think it's massively important to give them as much freedom as possible, but that's not safe to do completely free. Yeah, it's not safe to do with the puppy having complete access, because they're going to run off, they're going to get picked up by somebody else, whatever, you know, get scared of something and run away from us. We don't want to risk it. So to prevent permanent loss of puppy, one of these. This is a long line lead. It is not an extension lead. So I'm hoping you all know the difference, but we'll just show you a picture. Okay, so, oops, that's the wrong picture. Excuse me while I just diddle-daddle about. So this is a flexible lead, a retractable, self-retracting lead, and we don't want to use one of these on a puppy. It's not, or any dog, to be honest. It's not a good way for them to learn to be with you. It gives other bits of information that you might not want them to know. So I don't want you to use one of these, but I do want you to use a long line, which is going to be far more irritating to use. And I understand that it's irritating, okay? But it gives more freedom. So is everyone still with me? I've not lost you, have I? Just give me thumbs up so that I haven't messed my screen up. So this is basically just a lead with a normal clip on one end. Some of them might have a handle on the other end, some don't. What I like to do, if they haven't got a handle, you can either just make yourself a handle. So you just knot it so there's a handle there. Or you can just tie a knot about a foot away from the end of the lead, so you know where the end of the lead is going to happen. So as that knot comes into your hand, you know that you're about to run out of lead. And with this, the aim is that the puppy can really get involved with the world, but you can feel safe that you're not going to lose them. Yeah, so we want them to be able to run around and be silly puppies and sniff stuff and pick stuff up and throw it around and get happy and excited about being out there in the world without running over to the other dog and getting into trouble with them, or running over to the other person, or running into the street, into the road. Okay, but I recognize that it's a pain in the bum wearing one of these and you're going to be reluctant to do it. If you are in a situation where you feel completely secure that the puppy isn't going to be in any danger, and that you feel secure to move away from them and not lose them because they're going to follow you, usually at this age most puppies will follow. So places I would feel secure with a very young puppy would be out on the beach towards the tide, away from the main sort of busy areas, for example, somewhere near the yacht club, for example, where there's a decent wall that keeps them off the road, keeps them well away from the road. And you can practice those games where the puppy chases you. Really important that we don't chase puppy. Really important. Because we don't want the pup to, two things can happen. The pup might become scared of you chasing them, worried by you chasing them, so they learn to move further away. Or the pup can be practicing staying away from you and moving away from you, which we don't really want them to know because they're always going to be faster than us. So we do games where they chase us. And that's highly reinforcing for pups because, let's face it, even the slowest puppy is faster than a fast human. So they always manage to get us. So it's always highly rewarding for them. And especially if they're getting to us means that there's going to be something wonderful and yummy there with us as well. Okay? So if you feel very, very safe, but where there's any suggestion in my mind that something might go wrong, I want them on the long line until I'm really sure that if I call my puppy with their emergency sound, then they are going to come to me. Now, when do I use their name? Well, if I'm just going along and we're both having a bibbly walk, do you know what bibbling looks like? I'm going to use an old lady word. Bibbling is when you're just going along, not really thinking about where you're going. Bibbling about, yeah? When we're just going along having a bibbly walk and there's nothing big or scary, there's nothing to worry about, I don't want to be recalling my dog all of the time. But I do want them to learn to check in with me, to just know where I am. So what I want to do with that is we can use their own name. They don't have to come back to us. We just want them to have a look at us and recognize, hi, yeah, I heard it, thanks. And then you can just say, well done, good puppy. And if they choose to come to you to get a reward, that's fine. And if they choose not to, that's fine. We keep it, name is just pay a little bit of attention to me. That sound is get to me straight away. So that here, or whatever it is you want to call your recall, is get to me straight away. It's exciting, it's explosive. Yeah, we want that brain to think, oh. Whereas their name is just like, oh, what? Yeah, it's kind of calmer. When your puppy does choose to just look at you, just check in with you, just come and give some attention to you, always, and notice it. Always say thank you for it. Always give attention to it. Always give food if you want to give food, or start a game. Because the one thing I see a lot is people whose dogs have learned to disconnect from them. The dogs have gone out so often with them from being tiny. The dog goes off, it does its own thing. The owner's walking along with a mobile phone or chatting to their friend, and the dog comes back and goes, it's great hearing it. And the owner's like, you're right, dog, and carries on doing what they're doing. Yeah, we want them coming back and getting excited and telling us all about what they're doing, and we get excited with them, and that way they want to get us to join in. They want to get us interested in what they're doing and what they're showing us. Okay, any questions about all that lot, or comments about it and how it feels to do it? Have I lost you all? Bored you, made you all bored silly? Yeah? No? I mean, they look really, really good. Has anybody got any, other than that beautiful example of how to stop your dog door dashing? I'm not sure I would have been as straight-minded as that with when she was trying to dash for the door, to remember to go for your hand touch. So very well done on that. But anybody else got examples of when the pup, you thought they might not come back to you and it scared you? Or are we all right? So my question then would be, is Rufus showing real big signs of fear in other situations? Is he shutting down and tucking his tail? And you can just thumbs up, thumbs down, or ooh, poor puppy, look, he's getting. Yeah, I'll take you off mute and then you can reach. I didn't want to disturb you. You look like you're having a proper cuddle.
It's all right. Generally, I don't know if it's because the house is so quiet because it's just me and you can hear the kids upstairs. So I don't know if it's that as well, because generally it's a really busy household, you know, like full of kids. Obviously, Nora, our friend, she's upstairs as well. The only time I've seen him a bit fearful is on walks. He's just not sure about walks yet. He's not one to run off. He's one to sort of stay behind, and I just plod along at his pace. But I can't walk him with my other dog because she pulls. She isn't trained, so I can't take them together. So yeah, that's the only time he's a bit fearful. But I think his confidence will grow with that. And I just take treats out with me, and every time he, you know, like you said, every time he looks at me, I give him a treat. Every time he starts walking again after he's been distracted by something, I sort of give him a treat. And by the end of the walk, he's more confident.
Okay, brilliant. I was just worrying, that's all. I don't like to see puppies kind of start closing up when you're doing something that should, in theory, be making them get higher and happier. So
Yeah.
as long as it's not a personality trait, as long as it's just a specific thing, is
He's not normally like this, not at all.
okay. Good. And Roxy, Tina's Roxy, is a loon, proper collie styly. Yeah, go on then. So
she's crackers. It's obviously playtime again. But yeah, I think she's just bored. She's going to the door and then she's looking at me and leaping. But yeah.
and she probably wants you to carry on with the recall game because she was definitely into that.
Yeah, she picked that up really quickly. Actually, she is pretty switched on. But yeah, I can feel her eyes. But I mean, to be fair, she's a little bit obsessed with me anyway, so I can't go anywhere without her staring at me. She has to know where I am all the time. I mean, last night she was sort of sitting on my knee and she crawled up. She almost wrapped herself around my neck, so there was no way I could move and leave her. So she's a little bit obsessed, a bit like the other Roxy. I think she's quite clingy as well, isn't she? Whether it's something in the name, I don't know. But on the most part, she's pretty good, and she does respond to things like with the hand touch. I didn't think it would work. I thought, oh, what do? I didn't want to grab her, but she took that on board, and then just that little exercise then, she seemed to really enjoy it, and she got it really quickly.
So now you've got another little exercise that maybe in the future. I mean, I had experience with Dodo, and I didn't, you know, again, another situation, emergency situation where I kind of brain went dead. What do I do? And didn't expect him to do as well as he did. He somehow, and I still can't even figure out how he did it, but somehow he ended up on the front of the street. And I wouldn't have even known he was there, except that I looked up and glanced down my alleyway and saw a ginger dog. I mean, in my experience locally, I've not seen another ginger dog. So I saw a ginger dog. And then my brain kind of went, there's only one ginger dog. That's my ginger dog. What's he doing out there? Yeah. By which time I was already in panic mode. My dog's on the street, expecting that if I run after him, like you say, your chances are you run after your dog, it runs away. So I just stood there, kind of steady and terrified, and went, Dodo, come here. like that, kind of going, shit, there's no way. And I swear this dog just turned around, came straight down the alley to me. He was like, yeah, what do you want? And I'm like, what the hell are you doing out here? You know, get back behind that shut, locked gate, which was closed. So I don't even know. I'm pretty convinced I've got a Schrodinger dog, which is a physics reference for anybody who wants to look it up. Schrodinger is a guy that figured out that atoms can be in two places at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, getting a recall gets you out of so many problems. The other benefit of practicing recall is not for the dogs, from the dog's point of view, it's for you. Because we want that reflex response not just to be in the dog's brain, but also to be in your brain. That when you go into that panic mode, you've got a direct pathway. This is what my brain should do. When I need my dog to pay attention to me in an emergency, this is what it should do. And if you don't practice it, you won't have that direct pathway in your brain. That's not where your brain will go. You'll start shouting or chasing or doing some other behavior. We want a behavior that's practiced over and over in your brain and in the dog's brain so that it becomes automatic. Okay, we got some do's and don'ts though. I'm just going to share my screen and see if I can find them. My only problem with this is I like to be dead organized, but as you can see, that's not happening just now. So it does mean I've got to go looking for the thing that I want to find to share with you. Should have got it out before, and I apologize for this. Class. That one. Okay, so couldn't start last time. Safe mode, go on then. I don't know why you couldn't start. You may not be able to do this. Looks like Microsoft is having problems, so we'll leave that. I'll send that to you, that file. I'll put it on. Oh, now we're having issues. Hang on, there we go. I'll send that file when I can finally open it. I'll put that onto the WhatsApp group. But basically, don't chase your dog. Don't call them regularly using your emergency recall. Don't ignore your dog ever. You know, make a big deal of them every time they look at you or they pay some attention to you. Smile at them. You know, you're out for a walk together and it's their walk. Be thankful that they've involved you in it. Be thankful that they want to talk to you and they're not just busy going off chasing stuff or being all alone. I can't remember all the things off the list, but there's lots of things to be thinking of when you're out and about with them. Do remember with puppies that seeing and interacting with the world is more important than training. Actually, at this stage, we really want them just to be adding normals to their tick list inside their brain. You know, that new sound, that's normal, add it to your tick list. That new person wearing a different kind of hat, normal, add it to your tick list. Yeah, we want them experiencing things, going out there. And if you spend too long focusing on the behavior and teaching them, you must sit at every curb point, you must do this. It's kind of nice to get the practice in, but if it's also preventing them, if you're keeping them so focused on you all of the time, you're preventing them from processing and getting used to the world. And I've seen some extremely well-trained dogs, you know, dogs who work in the obedience ring, who can't go for a normal walk because they haven't taken all of that normal environment in. It's not part of their tick list for normals in their brain. Okay, so how often do I do training? Well, on a walk I would do, depending on how long you're going out. If you're going out for about 20 minutes at this age usually, then most of that walk is going to be sniffing. I'm going to stop for 2 or 3 times for a 2-minute little bit of let's just practice this, you know, and the rest of the time it is follow the pup, as you've said quite nicely, reward when they pay attention to you, reward them for moving in the environment with you or for disengaging from things by their own choice with you, and then you can practice come to me when you hear my name, you can practice do a sit when I ask you to, but remembering that in the busier environments it's going to be harder, so you must have the high value rewards with you when you're out and about. Low value rewards when you're at home. Does everybody know what I mean about low and high value? Yeah, no, I'll share that as well. I'll share that as well. So basically organising yourself a reward gradient. Think about, if I asked you to work 40 hours, would you work 40 hours for a £5? Only if you were crazy, you know. But if I asked you, I'd say I'll give you a £5 if you can do an hour of just sitting and closing envelopes, you know, for £5. You might do that because you can do that while you're sitting on the sofa. But if I asked you to work 40 hours doing a really hard job, if I wasn't offering you 500, 600 quid in your hand, you're not going to be wanting to do that, you know. So think about it from your dog's point of view. Their own dog food, their own kibble, their own normal food treats are going to be fine for asking them to do things at home. But when you start asking them to do things in harder environments, more difficult situations, you need the high value, the stuff they don't get very often, the stuff that's the best taste, the best flavor. But you don't know what that score value wise is going to be because everybody's different. You don't know what that value of each of those reinforcers is going to be until you've tested them. So there is a really cute guy is doing a video, regular updates on Facebook, and I'll try and remember to copy it next time I see it. But basically he offers his German Shepherd dog bits of different types of food served on a little table in front of the dog. And then we've got a really good video view of the dog's face and what they're doing with that food. And then the dog's, it's all pretend, but obviously the dog's scoring it. And the high scores are the ones where the dog goes, oh, yum, and basically snaps it back and it's swallowed before he's even tasted it, gets a high score. And the ones where the dog kind of picks it up, messes about with it, chews it a bit, leaves bits on the table, gets a lower score. So it's quite a fun thing to do with your puppy as well. Tiny bits of new flavours. What do you think of that? See what their response is. Yeah? Anyway, I think I'm just about done. I'm sorry if today wasn't up to scratch. Hope you've had a good time anyway. Is there any questions before we let you go? Relatively happy? Yeah? Let's just see about dominance. Can I just, I'm gonna broach that subject. Somebody used the word dominance, I'm not sure who it was, with regards to jumping up. Okay. And I don't want to sound horrible about this because I honestly believed, before I started learning more, I honestly believed that dogs did organize their lives in a hierarchy. You know, I thought that was how they did it. But science and us knowing a lot more about dogs now has proven that they do not organize their lives in a hierarchy. And they certainly, if they do, it's not between humans and dogs. Dogs do not think of themselves as higher or lower than us. And no amount of what you do is going to change that. How do we know this? Well, the guy that originally did the study and that originally suggested that maybe canines organize their lives in that way, he has completely redacted it. He's rewritten the book. He's, if anything, highly apologetic for the fact that it was ever kind of came out as being science. But you will still hear it. It's still in public sort of knowledge because it's a very sticky idea. We as humans, we do run our societies with a degree of hierarchy. You know, we have a boss who tells us what to do. Yeah, or we are the boss who tells us what to do. Dogs don't. Dogs don't do it that way. If you think of your dog much more as a family member who needs guidance, a child who doesn't know when things are wrong, but a child who is investigating what might work. So in just the same way as a naughty child might find out that doing a certain behavior always gets attention, even if that behavior is wrong, in inverted commas, they don't know that it's necessarily wrong. They just know that it works. And your puppy's the same. If it gets whatever it was that they wanted, then that behavior is going to be repeated. And jumping up, if the child is getting excited and therefore the puppy is being fed information that it's an exciting interaction, then that behavior is going to be continued. All right. So we don't have to tell them off to let them know that there's a problem. We don't have to do weird things like eating before them, or, you know, we just have to make it really clear what behavior gets you what you wanted, or something similar to what you wanted. What behavior can you do to fulfill that need that you're asking for, you know? So yeah, hopefully if you've got any concerns or worries about that, you need any more information, or, you know, the sciencey bits behind it, then get back to me, because I do know there are still a lot of people out there going on about you mustn't this with your dog because they'll think that you're their boss or whatever. And it's so many things like, no, God, don't play tug with your dog, it will think, because it wins, it'll think it's dominant. Oh no, play tug and let them win, you know, because they're going to want to play more. And if they want to play more, we can start to use tug games as a way of reinforcing behaviours that we like. Yeah? Feed your dog from your plate. The point isn't that they're going to think that they're more dominant than you because they're eating off of your plate. The point is you can say, I'll give it to you if you can put your bum on the floor. Yeah? All right. So any questions about that bit? I know I've gone into preachy mode and I apologise for that. But it's a little, and do you know why I feel so strongly about it? It's because I spent the early part of my relationships with my dogs. Someone's gone. I spent the early part of my relationships with my dogs squishing them, squashing them, making them subordinate to me. And because that's what I believed. And then I learned, and I've had far, far better relationships with my dogs since then. And I feel so guilty that the relationships I could have had with those previous dogs when I was younger and I knew less were so potentially damaged by that, you know? So anyway, I hope I haven't really upset her. I don't like the fact that she's just run away from me.
I think for me, this little conversation has been one of the most enlightening parts of the course so far, because I didn't want to take on board the science. I'm like, she's just a puppy, she's part of the family, she's like a baby. I don't understand the science of dominance and alpha and this, that, and the other. So that for me, and I just, with all the training and everything, I just didn't know if it was going to be very much train. But you've just said it's not, and that sits better with me than just training, because they're not a performing monkey. Obviously, you want them trained so that you enjoy them more. But so for me, I think that's been probably the most enlightening part of this course, I must say, personally.
I'm glad I'm getting something out of it. I'm really hoping I haven't upset her. Yeah. I do sometimes think, do I just ignore that or do I broach it? You know? And
Maybe just drop her a private message. You might just build an internet connection, or she had something to do.
Oh, she's messaged a WhatsApp. She's her battery died on her laptop.
oh, my dog. I was like, oh shit, should have left it alone. You know? No, it's not a case of I never ever want to be a preachy trainer. You must do it this way. You must do it this way. Blah, whatever. But there are certain things, because of my personal experiences, that obviously are.
Leave it. Good girl. She's digging my laptop. It wasn't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so there are certain things which I don't want other people to have to go through. It's almost like, it's not you must be a better dog owner and I'm going to force you to be a better dog owner. It's please don't make the mistakes that I've made. You know, don't have to learn by the same path. Get that information from this place where the knowledge is and take it ahead from there. Yeah. But yeah, no, don't. Just enjoy it, you know, to a degree. Yeah, you've got to be protecting them from learning the wrong thing. You don't want to. Live with when they're grown up. But at the same time, you only get to have this fun and this cooking. You only get that once in their lifetime, you know, when they're small enough that you can just pick them up and cuddle them. You need so much. You know, they're going to be teenagers and they're going to be big and strong and horrible. Let's really enjoy it. Don't train and train and train and train and train. All right, well, I'm going to go now. I'm glad that she messaged because I was starting to feel like, oh my god, what we've done. All right.
Thank you.
Do keep messaging. One thing is I do watch all of your messages, but I also, I don't know whether you know whether or not I've said, but I also work as a veterinary nurse, so quite often I can't get back to it. And so far, I've noticed that you're doing quite a good job of answering each other's questions quite well. So I haven't felt like I've needed to kind of get involved. But if you find that you're not getting feedback, if I haven't spotted a question, do nag, you know, do repeat, because it sometimes it's just a case.
Good girl, Eve.
Of,
Oh,
you know. So, all right. So I'll say goodbye. Let's let you sign off, and I'll get your video sorted as soon as I can and send it through. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. See you next week.